Good morning, you guys. It is super early right now. It's 4:55 a.m. I came across this case, Cherish Perrywinkle. Oddly enough, the man who committed the crime against this little girl, is apparently in a neighboring cell on death row next to Wade Wilson. I happened to see this, I believe it was on Reddit, and I was like, I need to look into this. So let's, this video is 22 minutes and 55 seconds, which you guys know I'll commentate some of that. But yeah, I wanted to find something short that we could just kind of get the gist of it, and then we'll dive a little deeper. Let's get into it.
On Prime Crime.
He was giving my 8-year-old too much attention. I had a bad feeling about him.
A monster lurking in the shadows.
You know how old they are? About 12, 13. You can see their wine glass on her ass.
A crime so heinous, it brought jurors and witnesses to tears.
I'm sorry, I have to take a break. Can I just have like 5 minutes?
Can a convicted killer get another shot at freedom?
He is going to be brutal with any victim. If he were out, I think he'd have more.
Hey everybody, I'm Jesse Weber and welcome to Prime Crime. This is where we do a deeper dive into the most high-profile and memorable true crime cases. What you're about to hear is every parent's worst nightmare.
Okay, ma'am, what's your daughter's name? Her name's Cherish. And her last name? Perrywinkle with a P.
June 21st, 2013, Jacksonville, Florida. Rain Perrywinkle and her 3 young daughters are shopping in a Dollar General store. The Perrywinkle family didn't have a lot of money, and Rain couldn't afford to buy her 8-year-old Cherish a new dress. That's when someone took notice.
I looked to my right, and he was standing in the doorway looking right at us. He said, "You look like you have your hands full. I have a couple of little ones."
56-year-old Donald Smith is watching Rain and the kids when he then offers to help them. He claims he has a $150 gift card to Walmart, and his wife can drive it to them.
He saw this window of opportunity where he would be able to use a weakness, financial insecurity, and he realized that he would be able to entice them with money to be able to get time with these girls alone.
Smith then even offers to drive them in his van to the Walmart, an offer that Rain accepts.
It was dark. There were...
Okay. We're 2 minutes and 11 seconds in, and my brain is already blown. Why would you do that? First off, we have to find out what year this happened. So let me look that up really quick. (2013). This happened in 2013. Yeah, that was not long ago enough to be like, oh, let me go get in a car with somebody that I don't trust for $150. What? Okay, I need to know more.
Blinds on the windows. There was no seat in the middle, and the passenger seat was pushed all the way down.
At the Walmart, video surveillance shows Rain and the girls shopping while Smith just looks on. And as each minute passes, there's still no sign of Smith's wife.
It's so ominous to see things like that because you almost want to reach out and try to change it in that moment. It's heart-wrenching because this is the point before which things will never be able to go back in time.
Later on, Smith suggests buying the family food from the McDonald's in the store. Again, Rain accepts. It's at this point Cherish follows Smith to get the food.
There's nothing distressing about that video. He is not holding her hand. He is not pulling her arm. He is not dragging her by the hair. He is not pushing her. She is not resisting him. If all you had was that video, in this case, hey, that's her granddad, and how awesome is that he took her to Walmart.
But as this video shows, they don't stay in the store. Instead, Smith leads the 8-year-old outside to his van, where they get in and drive away.
911 Robinson. Hi, that Walmart. I'm in turn. I think my daughter's been taken. What do you mean? Taken by a stranger. I can't find her. Okay, and she was last seen with this man? Yes, he said he was going to McDonald's and he hasn't been there because the store is...
I'm sorry, no way. No man would even have a chance to do this with my daughter. Ain't no way. You just met this guy and you allow your... this is negligent on the mother's part. I mean, this could have 1000% been prevented. What the utter fuck?
Closed right now. I had a bad feeling about him. Okay, how long have you been looking for you? When was the last time you saw your daughter? How long ago? About half an hour ago.
All protectors of children need to know that these predators are out there, and there is a level of blame when you entrust someone you do not know to be around your child who is defenseless.
I had a bad feeling. I thought, well, I feel like pinching myself because this is too good to be true. He was giving my 8-year-old too much attention. He wanted her to buy these really tall shoes that were women's shoes, and I told him no.
You know, listen, I know people don't like her. It was a bad decision, but think about it. She is vulnerable. She has no money. She is desperate, and she's manipulated.
No, don't care. I don't care. I can be on a box on the corner of a street. This situation is not going to happen. You're not that. I'll just tell all of you right now. I'm not the one. I am a SA victim myself. I was groomed at a very young age. And I know all the freaking signs. So, no.
She's a victim, like Cherish is a victim.
I don't want him to kill her. I should have told him no.
Despite Rain's pleas on the 911 call, when police respond, they don't initially classify this as an abduction, rather a missing persons case. Authorities wouldn't even inform the media or issue an Amber Alert for at least 6 hours.
I don't think law enforcement actually believed her. This is my opinion. So as a result of law enforcement saying, hey, we're a little skeptical, we may not believe the mother's story in this case, I am with Cherish sooner, and we do not know if that means she still would have been alive.
The next morning, police finally track down Smith as he's driving his van on the highway. They also receive a new call.
Hi, we're calling about a suspicious van over here, a white van. It was parked behind some bushes. It's not there anymore, but we don't know if he dumped anything because we heard a girl just got abducted from Walmart.
Authorities then find the worst, Cherish's dead body lying in the marsh of a creek.
This depraved indifference to life and the clear ability to just injure someone who is so defenseless and small just shows a level of sociopathy that we actually come to know is, in fact, the way Mr. Smith is.
I had a strange feeling about him when I first met him. He took her to the dressing room twice, and I was hoping that she would be okay.
Is this mother on substances or something? This is in 2013. What the he took... I'm sorry, you guys. This is insane. This woman... Oh my God.
8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle is found dead the morning after being abducted at a Walmart in Jacksonville, Florida. The autopsy would reveal she had been repeatedly sexually assaulted and then strangled to death. Donald Smith is arrested and later charged with first-degree murder, rape, and kidnapping.
It shows me that, number one, it was someone who was absolutely enraged, and number two, it was someone who had done this before.
What's even more disturbing? Smith is a sex offender with a long criminal career, arrests ranging from burglary to battery to crimes against kids, including when he was caught masturbating in front of 2 minors. Yet on the day of Cherish's kidnapping, he was out free.
Every instance where he could have been incarcerated or hospitalized for long periods of time, he seemed to skate by and get out. And the individual reasons may have made sense for each individual case, but at some point there should have been a totality of the circumstances to say he's been given this opportunity and this opportunity, and he is a perpetrator that's going to reoffend. He shouldn't be out on the street. I almost feel like he had 9 lives, and that's not a good thing. It took the murder of an innocent 8-year-old for those lives to catch up with him.
He became sexually aware at 5 years of age. He started to engage in voyeurism and public masturbation by 10 years of age. He had a traumatic brain injury with loss of consciousness and scalp laceration at 9 years of age. This is his historical behavioral issues that I would call concerning.
Smith's trial began on February 12, 2018, over 4 years after Cherish's death. The prosecution's first witness, Rain Perrywinkle.
What did he say to you when you walked out the front door of the Dollar General?
If you really want that dress, I'll get it for you. He got snappy with me because I wouldn't get in the van.
I think part of what troubles people about...
Before this lady even says anything, he got snappy with her because she didn't want to get in the van. But you continued to go with him. This is crazy.
Her testimony is her honesty. Why did you ever let her around him?
I felt foolish after that. I thought I was just being paranoid.
She's heartbroken, she's devastated, but also she's honest.
Ma'am, when your daughter followed after this defendant towards McDonald's, was that the last time you ever saw your daughter alive?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
While the prosecution would present a strong case, the defense did a curious thing. In their opening statement,
He straight up looked like the Terrifier there for a second. It's that side profile looking like the Terrifier. Lana.
they seemed eager to fight and even cast blame on Rain.
Do not make any fixed opinion at this moment.
But when it came time for Smith's team to cross-examine Rain, Smith says no. In fact, the defense chose not to call any witnesses nor offer a closing argument.
Oddly, if you blame Rain, it doesn't really help your case because you're essentially saying that she was so negligent that she allowed such a crazy killer like your client to then have contact with the children. So it doesn't really advance the theory very much. It was really tone deaf, insensitive, and they backed off.
We would learn a lot more about Smith, including things he never intended.
All right, let me just rewind this really quick.
We would learn a lot more about Smith, including things he never intended to be revealed.
You know how old they are? About 12, 13. You can sit there wine glass on her ass.
At Donald Smith's trial for the kidnapping, rape, and murder of 8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle, emotions ran high, including with jurors crying. In one of the most dramatic moments, when Dr. Valerie Rao, the medical examiner, took the stand, even she broke down.
Yes, so what we do is, I'm sorry, I have to take a break. Can I just have like 5 minutes?
Do you want a 5-minute break?
Just testament to the brutal nature of this crime. It's an 8-year-old. Anybody's sympathetic, empathetic, compassionate about a child. But here this medical examiner is having to testify as to all the gruesome details and how horrific, and probably the worst the medical examiner's ever seen in Jacksonville, Florida.
Before prosecutors finished up their case against Smith, they delivered one more blow. They played secretly taped conversations between him and another inmate in jail.
But man, when you look at this girl's ass, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know how old they are? About 12, 13. You can sit there wine glass on her ass.
He's a perpetrator. This is what this man does, and he's never going to stop, in my opinion.
That's right in my alley right there. That's my target area right there. That's what I go after. Well, you have fun with that one. Yeah, I like to run into her at Walmart.
It is unbelievable that in facing these types of charges, he would continue to speak so freely like that in jail. And here's the thing, it really shows that he was intending to do this, that this was something he planned to do. He is attracted to young girls and to committing violence upon them.
The jury sealed Smith's fate. It took them only 15 minutes of deliberations to come back with a finding of guilty across the board. Then it became a question of whether Smith should spend the rest of his life in prison or be put to death. We heard from various experts discussing everything from Smith's brain abnormalities to his history of himself being sexually abused, all as possible mitigating factors.
His imaging studies show profound atrophy. When I was looking at...
This is the same type of defense that Wade Wilson's defense attorneys tried to have prior to him being sentenced with the death penalty. Same exact thing. That this brain injury when he was at whatever age, for this guy, I think he said 9 years old, is what made him this way, da 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 da.
Mr. Smith's abnormal behavior, there were, we can say, 2 general categories of neurologic illness. One was a neurodegenerative disease, such as CTE or frontotemporal dementia. And then the other was a various form of epilepsy. He has what would be called a orbitofrontal syndrome, hypersexuality, disinhibition, inability to control inappropriate impulses, poor judgment, recidivism. Saying he can't control any impulses, that's too strong. I'm unable to say that. It's a balance thing.
Just because somebody has had mental health problems or even neurological problems, it doesn't mean that they do not appreciate the severity or the consequences of their actions.
But what we didn't predict was the testimony of a woman who says Smith tried to kidnap her when she was 13.
He told me to get the in the pan.
Did the defendant chase after you in that van?
He did.
All right, guys. I ended earlier this morning because it was so early and I had realized that I could fit my workout in before Lana started school. So I went ahead and did that. And then I had some regular chores that I had to do after Lana was done with school. So I wanted to pick back up because we don't have that much longer of this, and I kind of have been listening off and on to some other stuff during this case or about this case, so I did want to finish this. So let's finish. I might rewind a little bit so you may get a little playback of what we already watched.
Smith tried to kidnap her when she was 13.
He told me to get the in the pan.
Did the defendant chase after you in that van?
He did.
I was horrified. That kind of terror for anyone, much less a 13-year-old girl, I can imagine the trauma.
I was slipping and I was so afraid I was gonna fall out and he was gonna find me. He said, I know you're in there, you little bitch, and I'm gonna find you.
It's so similar and it was so long ago. And that's what's such a problem. And it really speaks to gaps in the criminal justice system. It speaks to what could we have done. It should never have taken this long.
Once again, the jury sided with the government and recommended death, with Judge Mallory Cooper ultimately imposing the sentence.
I broke out crying. But no, it's not justice. You know, the legal system works the way it works. But he's been living for 5 years after the death of my daughter. And he's going to be living until the death penalty is either done or whatever the case may be. And that's not justice. She didn't get that option to live those many years.
You would think this would be the end of Donald Smith's story. It isn't.
Oh no, is that my snap?
Wants me to do this, but I didn't do that with what's his name? Here we go. My death sentence right here, 9/4/1956. Donald J. Smith. Yep, that's him. So he is at Raiford. So he is on death row in some vicinity of Wade Wilson. So wow. It's horrific. Prior prison history. Wow, he's done a lot. 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, 5 years, 6 years, 5. How? Oh my God. This is one of the people that slip through the system, and it's so sad. Because if he would have stayed in prison, that little girl would still be alive.
After Donald Smith was convicted of the brutal rape and murder of 8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle and sentenced to death, the world learned about another side of the killer. Recorded jailhouse conversations between Smith and his mom came out.
This is way bigger than anything. It's way bigger than Anthony. It's way bigger. There's people out there that you would think wouldn't have, that don't have a damn clue about anything that's going on right around them, right beside them, and they know me well.
What's disturbing is how involved and excited he was about the attention that he was getting. And so we can see this collateral almost benefit that he is getting from this.
Smith actually denies being a child molester.
I don't view children as sexual objects.
That is bizarre. Obviously, that is laced with complete dishonesty, but it might just have been something that he was telling his mom, or that He doesn't want to be perceived that way in jail, because child molesters in jail, of course, are exposed to a lot more violence by fellow inmates, and they also are not given a lot of priority by the jailers.
In one of the most shocking admissions, he suggests that as a registered sex offender, he had no choice but to kill Cherish when she followed him.
That's what I told Harry. He says, man, he says, what she got in your van? He says, all I knew was, you gotta go. You have to go. I don't care how, you gotta go.
Blaming the victim, I think, is how he rationalizes in his sick brain how it's okay and why it's okay. Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was her fault. She made me do it, this little 8-year-old girl, and I'm a sex offender, and it's her fault, not mine. I think that's a sick way of rationalizing it.
Then Smith appears to strategize a mental health.
He searched her out. Are you kidding me?
Health defense, even asking his mom for a copy of a manual on psychiatric disorders.
That's how manipulative he is, that he's manipulating his mother to get these things so that he can do the best he can to get out of jail.
At the time of this taping, Donald Smith's defense team has appealed his case to the Florida Supreme Court, arguing he's entitled to a new trial.
See, I never predict whether or not someone's going to get a new trial, because you never know. One of the grounds, for instance, is change of venue. And they say there should have been a change of venue, because it is true, this was all over the news. All of Florida was talking about it. They argue that means potentially jurors could have been affected and biased.
I knew nothing about this. And this occurred after Kaylee Anthony went missing, and Casey Anthony went to trial in 2011. And that's when I first started getting into trials, was 2011, because I was 7 months pregnant with twin boys, and I was on bed rest, and I remember it was on TV every single day, and I got so emotionally involved in that case. I never heard this case. It just happened to pop up on my YouTube as like something I may like. So for him to think, I mean, I don't understand that whole thing. Being famous, you're not famous, but your case being known, it's kind of like this whole Wade Wilson shit. Oh, I'm famous, I'm this and that. People want this, this is big. Let me shut up.
The prosecution's response to that is, listen, you can ask for a change of venue, but that's already been discussed, that's already been decided, and none of the legal grounds for a change of venue were met.
One of the grounds for a new trial that the defendant is trying to make is the emotional testimony by the medical examiner. And I don't think that that in and of itself would be enough for a new trial, because we have so many other bases for the jury to have decided for guilt. It wasn't simply what the medical examiner was saying. And also, medical examiners are human beings. They're allowed to emote as long as it's done appropriately within the context of their testimony. And here the medical examiner even asked for a break to be able to compose herself. So I do not think that that ground would be sufficient for him to get a new trial.
The reality is he is going to be brutal with any victim. If he were out, I think he'd have more.
At the end of the day, though, this case has always been about the loss of an innocent young girl.
She was, wow. It's hard to explain it. And you'd never see her unhappy. She was never miserable. She never had any signs of anything. She was just smiling, just the biggest smile on her face every time you've seen her. And I know if you talk to people in Jacksonville, they'll tell you the same thing. To have an 8-year-old just be taken out like this is just unreal. I just hope they remember her smiling face and the fact that she had a good life ahead of her and would have probably been very successful at something. But we'll never know now.
Donald Smith ended up in the one place that he'd been trying to avoid for years, rotting away behind bars, waiting to die. This is really one of the hardest stories to cover. It's one that just...
Yep, where he needs to be and where he needs to stay. And the thing is I feel like that once they get put on death row, they just continue to like try to get a new trial. And I mean, what do they have to lose by trying to get a new trial? But they only have time, right? But this is all I'm going to cover for right now in this particular case. But I may kind of dabble in some of the trial. This happened, and his trial was in 2013, so this was a very, very long time ago. But who knows? I never say never, so not anymore anyways. But if you like this kind of content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want, or don't. Have a good one, and see you in the next one.